Hey, good morning to all of our fellow nurses. I am so happy to bring Christy Hendricks back on with us today. We did an interview a couple of weeks ago where we talked about her bouncing back from burnout story, and it's a great story with a lot of really helpful tips. So if you relate to being a nurse who's feeling a little bit burned out, I recommend going back and listening to that interview if you haven't already. And today I want to talk to you about Christy and how she is a nurse now nurturing nurses, because, as a nursing profession, I don't think anybody else understands what we go through except our fellow nurses. And so having another nurse that's dedicated to nurturing nurses in the way that she knows best, in the way that she's passionate about, has a lot of power. So Christy, welcome, and thank you so much for being here with us today. And I just want to talk about briefly, how long have you been a nurse? And tell us a little bit about your nursing career. And then fast forward to that point where you transitioned into nurturing other nurses.
Okay, let's see. How long have I been a nurse? I'm losing count. Honestly, I believe that I'm coming up on 25 years. Mm-hmm. So, and that was kind of by accident that I went into nursing, because I never would have dreamed of being a nurse. I was I was ready to go to law school, and was already scheduled my LSATs and all ready to go to law school. And then I had a 31-weeker. My first daughter was a little 31-weeker, so we did quite a little 6.5-week stint in the NICU. And at the same time, I think because she was my first child, I was like, I don't want to leave her with somebody I don't know and go to work 60 hours a week as a new attorney. And oh my gosh, what else can I do? And all the while this is going on in my head, I'm looking around. She was still in the NICU. And I'm like, this is interesting. These nurses, they hold babies. They've got all this cool technology around them. It's pretty cool. I kind of like this, So I changed directions and went into nursing, and I went in specifically to do NICU. And that's what I did right out of nursing school. I went straight into the NICU. I never did adults, ever. Mm-hmm. Didn't want to do adults, had no desire. So after about 10 years in the NICU, I started, there was a big push in the hospital system that I worked for to get Malcolm Baldrige, to get magnet status, to get all these little, marketing things, really, is so they can market the hospital. It really didn't trickle down to the floor. Mm-hmm. It ended up having really no impact on floor nursing. Mm-hmm. So I was really frustrated with that. At the same time, I was really frustrated by all the burdens, all the workload that they were putting on the nurses, and the increased acuity of the kids that we were seeing in the nursery that I was working at. Mm-hmm. So I really started to burn out. And then I also started to have anxiety issues, when I would go into work. And I never figured out really where it came from. I just wanted to find a way to escape it.
Right.
So I left, and I came back, and then I left, and so I think in our last interview, I said something about I wandered aimlessly for about 6 or 7 years, kind of not really knowing what I was going to do next. I did lactation, I did peds, I did a little home health, I did some newborn home visiting, and I did some aesthetics. I really enjoyed aesthetics, but I knew it wasn't really what I wanted to do. I wasn't madly in love with any of these, although there were some jobs that I really, truly enjoyed. Mm-hmm. So while all of this was going on, I did consider, maybe I should go back and get my master's degree. But I thought, well, I'm kind of miserable as a nurse, so why get a master's in misery? And at the same time, I had my 2 young daughters at that time, where I think my oldest was in high school, mm-hmm. and my youngest was coming up behind her, maybe middle school or so. And I thought, well, gosh, I can't go back to school and get my master's degree because I got these kids coming up and they're going to need to go to college. And at the same time, really, they were at that time, my oldest was in private school and I was homeschooling my youngest daughter. And I didn't have the budget to put myself through a master's program and pay for private school and, pay for college. So what do? And I've always been drawn towards business. And so then I kind of was looking at people creating courses and, all kinds of stuff like that. And so I came up with my first brand, which is Change of Shift. And what I do in there in Change of Shift is I really appeal to those nurses who were kind of like me going, okay, I'm really burnt out. Or they're not always burnt out. Some of them are just maybe they have an illness or an injury that precludes them from practicing clinically anymore. Yeah. And they're thinking, what the heck? What can I do?
Right.
But I'm, and Change of Shift is not a site or a brand that says, oh, here's how you can be a nurse practitioner, or here's how you can be a nurse educator, or here's how you can be a case manager. That's not what I do. Over at Change of Shift is really tailored towards nurses who are thinking, I think I want to start like a business, but I know nothing about business. Absolutely nothing. So, I interviewed other nurses to see kind of what their background was and how they got into business, what made them shift from, say, clinical nursing or management or whatever, case management, whatever, into business. So that's really what I address over there, kind of making that shift. It's a mental and emotional kind of gig there too. Mm-hmm. It's interesting as nurses, I think a lot of us kind of cling to that RN. Like, I've got my RN, because doggone it, I worked hard for that RN. And so there's some emotional attachment to that. Yep. I even experienced that when I left the NICU and I was working in other areas, and I had a hard time with that because just by virtue, just being a NICU nurse, there was some degree of status with that in nursing circles, right? Yep. Because it's so specialized. Mm-hmm. So I felt kind of like it knocked me down a few rungs. It's like I lost that status, So there are all these emotional things going on with, making that change of shift. Yeah. So anyway, so that's it. That's the Change of Shift story, which that's still my brand. I mean, I still have run Change of Shift where, I help nurses find other ways to be a nurse.
That is beautiful, because I know that this profession sometimes in that like particular healthcare box, I mean, that's what we're trained to do as nurses in nursing school. We're trained to go into the hospital and get a job on the unit. Like, that's basically what we're trained for, mm-hmm. right? And so when you get to a point where in your career, you're like, I've done several different things inside of this healthcare box, and I'm just not really sure, like, if this is for me anymore, or maybe this particular experience. Sometimes these experiences reach an expiration date, and being able to think outside of that box, like, what do I want to do? And the thing that I know about nurses is that we are freaking intelligent. We are motivated. We love to learn. We love to grow. We love to keep moving. Like, I don't know one single nurse that is stagnant in anything ever. I mean, a lot of nurses have their nursing career and then they have a side gig. They have like a rental business, or they do this, jewelry thing, or, they always got their fingers in some other pot.
Yeah. That's so true. That is so true. Yeah, mm-hmm. I agree. And that just made me think too, something about, I don't know, now it escaped me, but it was something that I was doing with Change of Shift and finding really that there were so many nurses out there wanting to start businesses. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. I thought, okay, maybe there's 5 or 6, right? No. Oh my gosh. Hundreds or thousands of nurses out there coming up with these amazing ideas for starting a business. So really what I do at Change of Shift, I want to try to help them learn the technology of how do you do business online. So that's kind of my best. And that is also what I do, or part of what I do over at my other brand, which is ARNI. I call it the ARNI Network, which is short for the Registered Nurse Innovators, Influencers, and Entrepreneurs Network. And what that is, I guess I like to describe ARNI as it's kind of like the nursing association of the 21st century, because it's actually a membership site where it's not stagnant. It's anything but stagnant. It's where you can go to learn how to do business, and it's where you can promote your business, get exposure, meet other nurses in business, collaborate with them. And I created it because I was actually thinking, how can I help my change of shift nurses go beyond just deciding what they want to do with their nursing degree? Because that's where change of shift is, like those nurses going, what else can I do with this nursing degree? Because like me, I was like, well, I've always been a NICU nurse, and that's very specialized. What the heck else can you do? Yeah. And that's where a lot of those nurses come to me, through change of shift. But then once they decide to do a business, they're like, okay, how do I make a website? How do I do email marketing? How do I create graphics? How do I do all this tech stuff?
Yeah.
Because if you're a business, let's face it, if you're a business, you have to do stuff online. You got to learn how to do it, or you got to farm it out. You've got to be aware. You can't market like you did back in the 80s or the 90s, or,
right.
It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. So.
Awesome. So it sounds like the change of shift is really like a springboard for nurses to sort of help, like, what do I want to do next? Because I'm ready for that next adventure in this like nursing journey. And I want to go into business, but I'm not really quite sure where or how. So that's a place for them to start. And then when they sort of get involved in the ARNI community, that's when they really start growing that business idea, correct?
Right. Awesome. Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly.
So what are some of, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, what are some of the things that the nurses in the ARNI group are experiencing when they become a member?
Well, there's a lot of learning going on, because inside the network, we offer a course every month. So it's courses on productivity, procrastination, social media, how to start a business, blogging. It's just every single month we release a new course. So there's that. There's a lot of learning going on, and those are our business clinics. I would have to say, though, that one of the most popular feature of ARNI is the Nurses Lounge. The Nurses Lounge is really an online meeting here, just like this. And where nurses come together, they get to know each other. My nurses all know each other now. And we talk about the theme of the month. So within ARNI, I always have a theme for that month. Okay. Because it can be so confusing. You're starting business and you're getting drawn in all these different directions. So I didn't want to have that confusion or those bright, shiny objects. It's like, for this month, let's just focus on productivity. How can I gather together my tools that are going to make it easier for me to work, right? And then just this month, let's just focus on learning about social media. So one different topic a month. And so what we do inside the Nurses Lounge, it's really interesting, because we started out and I thought it was just going to be a casual get together. We would just chit chat, meet each other, chit chat, talk about our dogs and bunnies and, kids and, what have you. And we do that. I mean, we do, and we'll sit and we'll have a glass of wine or whatever, and we'll sit and just chit chat about this and that. But I found that the nurses also wanted some sort of structure. So we do a little bit of instruction. And when I say a little bit of instruction, it's like 5 or 10 minutes that I'll take something related to that theme of the month. And maybe it's a little slide presentation, maybe it's a little video that I've prepared, and we'll just do some little learning, little snippets, or even maybe sometimes I'll just call it like an in-service, a little in-service. So we have fun with that. What else can we do in Arnie? Let's see. So the business clinics, the nurses lounge is hot. We have actually a really special way that you can do some affiliates, join an affiliate program that another nurse entrepreneur has, or referral, or you can post your own affiliate program or referral program that you do. Now, I should say this. You don't have to have some special tech affiliate program set up through an affiliate, something like ClickBank or something like that. You don't have to. You can also have just your own little referral rewards program. So that's available to members. They can do that. Gosh, we have downloads. We have in-services. We have, gosh, I almost have to look because there's so much that Arnie offers. One of the primary things that I would say for Arnie, and this is available for paid memberships, is the featured nurse or the member spotlight. So our paid members are able to apply to be in the member spotlight, and all they need to do for that is they contribute some piece of content that would be of interest to the other nurses, to other nurse entrepreneurs. So every nurse, because you said that nurses are smart, and that's true, and we pick up business sense and we have certain business skills as we're building our business, you find that you're really good at, you just take to it really quickly. And so if you're able to come in and teach a little in-service, or maybe hold a little Q&A session, or even just write a blog post about something that's going to be of interest to them, then I reward you heavily. I'm telling you, I reward you heavily for that one little piece of content. And this is how I reward my nurses in the Nurse Spotlight. So first of all, you get a featured nurse article on the front page. Well, okay, I should actually back up. Your piece of content that you've contributed, whether it's your blog post or your in-service or whatever, that goes up. It's on the Arnie Network site. It also goes out to all of our social media channels. So it's posted all over the place. So it's not just hidden. It just gets posted everywhere. Okay, so then you get a featured nurse article on the front page, on the home page, the public-facing side of the Arnie Network site. Has your picture, talks about you, talks about your business, and it includes all your links, your website and everything, and how to get in touch with you. All right. Then you also get a featured nurse interview. So this is where I sit down with you and I interview you, and you get to talk all about your business and tell me all about it. But the whole purpose is not really so much to tell me, but to tell your audience about it. I'm just the sounding board. But the purpose of it really is so that you can promote yourself. So it'll live on the Arnie Network YouTube channel, but then you could share it all over the place. And I share it too. The Arnie Network shares it across our Facebook and LinkedIn pages and groups, and such. But then you also have the ability to share it with whoever your audience is. And, I tell my members too, it's like, who do you need to reach? Do you need to reach potential business partners? Do you need to reach maybe investors? Or maybe you want to reach your clients or your prospective customers or clients. Yeah. We would just create the video based on who is the audience that you need to reach. Okay, so moving right along. After your featured nurse article and your featured nurse interview, you can co-host a nurses lounge with me. So you would be in there with all the other nurses of the nurses lounge, and I would give you about a 5-minute little spiel. You can prepare a little slide deck if you like, and tell the group about what you do. If you have a Facebook page, because I create an event for the nurses lounge on Facebook, and if you have a Facebook page, then I also list you as you are one of the co-hosts. So your page is co-hosting this event.
Gotcha.
So if that makes sense. Okay. So the event the Nurses Lounge doesn't actually take place on Facebook. Facebook is just a way to promote that event. The Nurses Lounge actually takes place in a meeting room like this on Zoom. Okay, then what else do you guys get to do? Then you get to create your own promotional video. And it could be just you as a talking head. It could be a representative for you if you don't like doing video. But just whatever promotional video you want. Again, who do you want to reach? Do you want to reach, potential business partners, investors, potential clients, whoever? You just create that promotional video. And then we in turn promote that for you.
Awesome. Awesome. So what would it take to become a member?
Just go to the Arnie website and join. It's so the website, I'm sure you probably have it in the show notes below too. Excuse me. So the Arnie website it's Arnie, RNIIE .wildapricot.org. And I'm sure you'll put that in the, I feel like I should put it up on a piece of paper. Here it is. Arnie.wildapricot.org.
Okay.
And you can go there, and I do, just through the end of this year, we're collecting founding members. So if you want to get in on the ground floor, become a founding member. Now that goes away the end of this year, December 31st, 2018. Gone. I can't take any more founding members after that. Now, after that, if you miss the founding member cutoff, then you can actually get on our wait list for when we open up membership again.
Awesome.
And you can do that over on the Arnie Network site.
All right. So this really is appealing to nurses who are either wanting to go into their own business or kind of are already starting their own business but need some sort of support. Like, where do I start? What do I learn? How do I apply what I learn? It sounds like what you provide is really the nuts and bolts of the business stuff, because we have all these amazing ideas. Like you said, nurses are intelligent and we have a lot of ideas, and it's maybe the how-tos of putting those ideas into something that clients will actually enjoy and consume, and that solves a problem and those sort of things. So it sounds like if you are a nurse who's considering sort of stepping out of the traditional nursing box and transitioning into business, Christy would be an excellent resource for you. So Christy, I know that the website is RNIIE at wildapricot.org. And how else can people connect with you?
You can also find me over at Change of Shift, and that is changeofshift.org. That is probably where you want to go if you're just starting to feel burnout, just kind of tired of that clinical nursing burnout, and kind of not to the business point yet, but kind of toying with the idea of what else can I do as a nurse? What else can I do with that nursing degree? Because I don't like nurses to think that I've got to go back to school and get another degree. No, you don't. You don't.
Right.
You really don't.
You don't.
So you can get a hold of me on at Change of Shift, or you can get a hold of me, reach me over at the Arnie Network.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And I just want to thank you so much. It's so wonderful to see, nurses out there supporting nurses and really being outside of that sort of traditional nursing box, because we all have so much to offer and our own unique ideas, and just knowing where to start and how to start and, how to continue going can be the challenging part of that. And so I just really appreciate you being out there and supporting those entrepreneurial nurses. That's so wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It was nice sitting and chatting with you and talking to your audience. And I love talking about nurses in business because, before when I first started this, I just had no idea how popular it is and how many nurses are going into business. So it's really exciting. So thanks for having me.
Awesome, Christy. Thank you so much. And I know this is right around Christmas time, and maybe you're not going to be viewing it around Christmas time, but if you are, have an amazing, amazing holiday. Like, lean on those people that you love and just enjoy all of the connection that this wonderful season brings. So all of you take care and have a wonderful day.